Hey Skyline, it's Miss Shannon. I miss you guys so much. I hope you guys are all doing fairly well despite the crazy circumstances. But I'm here to do a group today with you to talk about a couple character traits, caring and responsibility. Especially how they relate to taking care of my plants and also taking care of myself. Alright, so I'm going to start things off by saying I have a lot of plants, right? You guys know Miss Shannon's crazy about her plants. But that also means I have a lot of caring to do and I have a lot of responsibility, right? I went out to the store, I bought these plants, I took them into my home, so now I have the responsibility to care for them, just like you might a dog or a cat or a family member, right? The thing is, just like people, just like pets, all these plants have different needs. And so I need to get to know their needs by doing things like observing them and watching them to help them thrive, right? Thrive meaning they're not just surviving, they're flourishing, they're having a great time, they're living really well, and they're growing, right? So one of the first things I do to care for a plant, to be responsible for my plants, is to look at them, right? I'll go around a couple times a week at least and make sure I'm looking at my plants, right? I might look under their leaves, I might look in their soil, look at any new growth and stuff like that, and I'll just look at them. I'll just say, do you look healthy? Do you look happy? Are you needing something? What are you needing, right? Do you have dry leaves? Do you have dry soil? Or do you have too soggy of soil? What's going on? Are you rotting? I don't know. All the plants have different things that can happen to them. But the first part I do is look at them. I say, what do you need, right? Because like I said, each plant is different. This guy right here has totally different needs than, let's say, this guy right here, right? This guy's a cactus. If I water him too often, he's going to get rotten and he's going to die. This guy wants to be watered often though. He has nice thin little leaves and they get dried out quickly. So giving him water often is the best thing for him. But I have to know that, right? If I didn't know that, if I didn't observe that, or I didn't research that, or I didn't ask people, I wouldn't know that and I'd probably end up hurting them more than helping them, right? So like I said, one of the first things I do is look at the plant, okay? I also touch it. Not all of them. I'm not going to poke this cactus here because I don't want to get, crazy splinters. But, this Kalanchoe here, I'm going to touch him. He's nice and soft, right? And he's actually a little too soft right now. He's a little rubbery, right? He's usually a little harder when he's nice and watered. So this is telling me he needs a little water right now. He needs me to care for him and give him some water so he can soak it up, get that on his leaves, and be a little happier. Another thing I do is look for bugs, right? Bugs, there are some healthy bugs that are fine to be found in your soil or on your plants, but there's also some that can be really, really harmful for your plants. And I actually found one today that has bugs on it that are not good. Unfortunately, my basil and my mint plant that are in here have bugs. They at least have spider mites, and then there's some other weird tan little bug things that I've never seen before that are on there too. Ugh. But like us today, this plant's going to be going into quarantine and he's going to get treated until those bugs go away, right? Just like we're needing to take space from other people around us to either protect us from getting sick or protect others from getting sickness from us. This plant's going to take some space, and I'm going to make sure he's healthy before I put him next to some other plants. Because if I put him next to other plants, some of those bugs are going to get onto that plant, and that's going to get onto that plant, and that's going to get onto that plant. Just going to keep going until all of my plants are sick with bugs, and I don't want that. So we're going to quarantine this guy. I'm going to put him in my kitchen, away from all my other plants, and I'm going to spray him down, actually, with some neem oil. Neem oil. And actually, the neem oil helps protect him by killing off those bugs, and I'm also going to spray all of my plants tonight, now that I know this bug exists, so that they have some protection as well from the bugs. So give me a sec, I'm going to go put this guy in the kitchen, I'm going to go wash my hands, because if I don't wash my hands after touching this guy, I could bring bugs back to touch my plants, and then they'll get sick, just like I talked about. So I'm going to wash them. I'm going to put them in the kitchen, wash my hands, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Let's see where I left off. Okay, we were talking about the individual needs of each plant, how caring for one plant is going to be way different than caring for another plant. It's the same with people, right? Like, let's take this cactus. Oh, and let's go with this guy. This guy's really cool. This guy has super crazy spikes, though. Okay, you see that? He also holds water for a very long time. So remember I talked about for some plants, if you water them too often, they could rot and die. This is one of them, okay? So I could actually care for this guy too much. If I was like eating space too much and giving him too much water and that kind of stuff, it would actually hurt him, okay? But looking at this guy, he has some cool things that actually help him care for his own self, which I think is really cool. All these spikes help keep predators away, right? He's saying, give me space, I don't want people around, I don't want things around, give me my space, right? And I'll be happy. It's the same with people too, right? Like, some people are absolutely loving being in their houses away from others for a long time, right? Those people just like their time away, right? They feel calm and peaceful being by themselves or getting some space away. You also might feel like that if you're maybe angry at somebody or you're feeling nervous around somebody. You want your space, okay? And that's kind of what this guy shows me, right? With all those spikes. And then he doesn't need a lot of care, right? Let's see. On the other hand, let's go with this guy. This guy's one of my favorites. He has these beautiful, beautiful leaves. But his leaves are built, they're waxy. They're saying, you know, I want water in my roots, but I don't want them on my leaves. So this has a built-in protective measure, the waxy leaves, that help water just run off the leaves so the leaves don't rot. So that's some cool self-care he's doing, right? That's a cool, natural thing he uses to care for himself as well, which is really cool. Ooh. A couple other things that plants do is they might change their color or like an outer layer to help them get less or more sun. So this plant right here, it's variegated, meaning it has these like cool white and green marbly patterns. And if this plant gets a lot of sun, it's going to start sending out leaves with a lot of white on them. The white doesn't absorb sun, really. The green is what absorbs the sunlight and then feeds the plant. And yeah, this plant will change color depending on how much light it's getting to protect itself, or if it needs more sun, it's going to send out more green leaves so it has more, it can absorb more sun. This guy up here has a cool like white film around it. So same idea, if it's getting a lot of sun, it'll actually develop more of this white film on the outside. It's like almost fabric-y. It's cool. And it'll help be like a sunscreen for the plant. But if it's not getting enough sun, it'll actually shed a little of that white layer, and it'll let the green underneath pop through so that more sun can be absorbed. Another interesting thing to think of with caring, right, is what's the best way to get that need met for that person or that plant. Right? So somebody, a person, for example, maybe they're sad and they need to be cared for. Does that mean they want a hug, or does that mean they want space, right? Does that mean they want to be talked to? Does that mean they want some playtime? They want some jokes, right? There's so many ways you can care for somebody and be responsible for something, and that's not always the same for each person and not the same for each plant. So for most of these plants, for example, they want to be watered in the bottom, in the soil, right, in the container. I have some plants though, this guy right here, he doesn't want that very often. In fact, that could also rot his roots. He doesn't have big roots at all. This guy lives in trees in the jungle and he hangs over and like rainwater gets on these cool leaves that he has. And he absorbs water through this and this like pad thing down here. So what I have to do is actually soak him in like a bucket and spray his leaves. And if I didn't do that, he would probably die. Versus if I only sprayed the leaves of this guy and I never put water in the bottom down here, it would die, right? It wouldn't like that at all because it would dry out. It would be really thirsty. So like I said, I observe these things, I look up these things, I research these things, and this is how I care for the various plants I have. Alright, I think the last point I want to make is that plants help me care for myself, which I think is really cool. When you're caring for something, when you're responsible for something, it makes you feel good, right? You know you've helped something live and thrive and be happy, and that feels really, really good to be a part of. Some plants, I just get so excited just looking at them, right? They just make me happy. They're like adorable, or they're cool, or whatever it is. Like I said, this guy's one of my favorites. He's just like such a beautiful, like, statuesque plant, right? Like, it's just so beautiful. Or this guy up here has just the most beautiful leaves, and I just get happy looking at them. And sometimes plants also have really other cool things that stimulate your senses in other ways. Like this little bear paw is like the softest leaves ever, and I just really like to touch them. And if I'm like feeling sad, I just give them a little touch, and it feels like you're almost touching a little kitty, like toe or something. It's adorable. It's really cute. And other plants will stimulate my sense of like taste or smell. So I have like my mint plant, unfortunately the one with the bugs, and the basil plant, that like I love to smell. They smell so good, and I just take a deep breath in and it just makes me happy. Or I'll take a little leaf and give it a taste, and it tastes so good and yummy, and that also makes me feel good, right? And also I love seeing new growth on my plants. Anytime like I come home from school and there's like a new growth popping out of a plant, like a new leaf, or a flower, like this cool flower on my cactus, I get so excited, right? I'm like, yes, I cared for something and it grew. It means it's happy and it's thriving, and that makes me proud, right? And then also, it not only helps me feel happier, it actually helps my physical health as well. I'm out of my bed and off the couch a lot more caring for all of these different plants than I was like years ago before I had plants, right? So I walk around. It's hours throughout my week where I'm walking around, carrying plants over the sink to water, or putting them in my bucket to water, lifting, like I said, a ton of walking around and being out of my bed. And that's definitely helped my physical health, along with the mental health of having a blast with all this and being proud of it all and feeling good about caring for something. Alright guys, that kind of sums it up. Just to recap, we talked about caring, we talked about responsibility, especially in relation to my plants, but also my own self-care, and a little bit of generally how you might care for somebody else or something else in your life. Right? You want to look at it, you want to observe it. What does it need? How can I help? You don't want to just take a random guess and do some random thing. See what they actually need, right? And then also we talked about how taking care of those plants feels good for your own self, or taking care of an animal or a family member feels good to help something, right? When you care for it, when you give it love, and you help it grow and thrive, they are going to appreciate it. My plants are going to appreciate it. Your family members are going to appreciate it. And then also you're going to feel like you were part of something important, and you were able to help something out that day. So yeah, that was all I have for you today. I hope you take a couple things away from that and work on your caring and responsibility during these crazy times. And yeah, miss you guys. I'll be posting some stuff pretty soon again too. Alright, bye!